Next on the agenda, though, is an update on the Whippany River Flood Mitigation Project. This is one of the two projects that Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill had helped fund, and this one is with towns like Hanover, East Hanover, and others. And we have Mayor Ace Gallagher of Hanover Township and Committeeman John Ferramosca, who will give us any updates on what they want and if you want to go.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Okay, flooding in the Whippany River, it's really not new. If you live in Hanover Township, you understand. This has been going on for a long time. Hanover has had a proud history of trying to make the river better. Some of you may know him. His name was Dr. George Van Orden. But Dr. George did a great job in trying to clean up that river. And all of what he taught us and implemented has really helped the river greatly. However, we still get flooded. We had to relocate a firehouse in our town to get it out of the flood zone because they couldn't provide safety during the flooding. It's been going on, since the 80s. Hanover started and was joined by Forum Park, East Hanover, Morristown, Morris Plains, and I think it's at Parsippany as well, are the towns that are working together, trying to get the river to flow again. The river has become so shallow in points that any time that we get major rain, it just spills. It just spills over the banks. So we're working on that. We have a major plan. We've made great progress from a funding standpoint because you need money to do this work. And we're about to start seeing the fruits of that labor. So I'm now going to introduce the Mayor Gallagher of Hanover Township, who will talk to us a little bit more about the specifics as to how much money is coming our way as we're the lead agency in this initiative, working together with all of the neighboring towns in trying to attack first what we would call getting the trees out of the river. And then after you get those trees, de-snagging that river, after you do that, then how can you get that river clean, dredged, so that the water can flow?
Thanks, John. Good representation. Thank you. I'm going to try to be as brief as I can because I've been working on this with John and with our team for 2.5 years. We learned a lot about the rivers. We've known a lot about the rivers. And I know Andy Hippolyte was on the call today. He represented me and our team, and he's a pretty aggressive guy, one of the smartest people I know. But what really sparked the impetus for this out of frustration was I watch Engineering Marvels on the History Channel. And I'm from Hudson County, from Bayonne. They talked about the Panama Canal, making it deeper and wider so the super tankers can come through. They talk about raising the Bayonne Bridge and dredging so they can bring the super tankers into Port Elizabeth and Port Newark. That's an engineering marvel. An engineering marvel is not Route 10 in Whippany, New Jersey, flooding because it rains 2 inches. That's absurd. It shouldn't happen. And what it is it's lack of true work and poor leadership over a long period of time. And here's as simple as it is. Where our rivers are supposed to be 4 to 6 feet deep, now areas of the river are 9 inches. What's going to happen when the water comes down? It's going to overflow the banks. When it overflows the banks, the integrity of banks is challenged, the trees fall into the water. When the trees fall into the water, it creates dams, plural, because we put a helicopter in the sky from Morristown to the bridge at 280 in East Hanover, from Chatham Township, from Chatham Borough, all the way past the Revillos in East Hanover. $2.1 million camera on that helicopter. We have footage that looks like you're overseas in some kind of high-tech war. It's unbelievable depth, width, every bit of obstruction you can possibly find. There's areas behind Columbia Turnpike to Great Meadow Lane, behind Brentwood and East Hanover, that are not passable. There's 20 trees in the water. How is that protected for environmental value? How could it be? Committe Auto Parts, 30 Ridgedale Avenue in East Hanover. There's a dam 30 feet wide. It has lawn chairs in it, coolers. basketballs. It has a beach umbrella in it. Why can't we go in there, pull it out? Well, they say because then it'll make the downstream flood a little worse. But downstream is just as bad. So if you pull it out and don't discard it properly, it's going to make the dam downstream worse. These problems are almost like the economy right now. It's self-inflicted bad policy. And truthfully, trying to blame it on a specific problem and agreeing that today they say, this is right from the Army Corps of Engineers. Gallagher, today the rivers are wide and shallow. They used to be narrow and deep. Well, we have a problem and we're not addressing it. So what we did is we put together a plan with Collier's Engineering. The first step is going to be the de-snag. We have $1.5 million to de-snag. And the de-snag isn't what it used to be. It used to be men in the water. Now it's equipment called skidders with long cables. You pull them out, you chip the wood, you to flow. So with our first 1.5 million, we're going to de-snag and we're going to do some bank reestablishment because the banks get compromised when the water overflows because it's shallow. But there's no reason why, even O'Connor, I've known this guy since I was 14 years old. He shouldn't be out there pulling logs and branches out of the river. This is what we're supposed to be doing. This is what the elected officials are supposed to be doing. And this is what people are supposed to be doing, seeking funding for true remediation, not continuously studying. We have so much information that we got in 6 months. We could definitely spread that over 15 years and feel good about ourselves, but you know, our businesses are getting destroyed, our roads are getting destroyed, and our homes are getting destroyed. And you know what? There's now funding to buy out houses that shouldn't be flooding in the first place. So I want you guys to know, and I could talk all day about this, when it comes to dredging, we have a problem with accessing properties. We've been waiting so long on the DEP. Mikey Sherrill recommended we go to the USDA, which is much quicker, which is much better. But the DEP, especially with affordable housing, I don't know what they're doing, but they're not thinking and caring about what we're doing and our quality of life. So shame on them. I have no use for them because they're damaging beautiful families and businesses in my town. So here's what we're going to do. Once we go in and we take out the $1.5 million worth of de-snagging and do a little bit of bank reestablishment, we already got another $500,000 in our till. We applied for 4 million more for next year. Now, even if we get one, we applied for 4. If we didn't apply for anything, we'd get nothing. And if we didn't do this initiative, we'd have nothing. We'd have to hope one day they found something bad enough to help us a little bit. Well, you know, Dean Martin said the harder you work, the luckier you become. We're working very, very hard, and pretty soon our rivers are going to be flowing. Because largely in New Jersey, the rivers don't flow. I went to Nashville from the jet. I was texting our top engineer, Andy Hippolyte, and I said, the rivers down in Nashville flow. So when I got into Nashville, I saw guys in the DPW. I said, why do your rivers flow? In New Jersey, our rivers don't flow. They said, well, when trees fall into the water, we pull them out. What do? I said, we leave them there because they have some kind of environmental value. Well, all they're doing is destroying all our businesses and all our residential properties, and they're destroying our roads. So to make a long story short, we have incredible people that we pay a lot of money to do studies. God bless the Army Corps of Engineers, because I know if they find something, they can get more money than we can get in Hanover Township and with our shared services group. We have to do real work, and we can no longer just pull a few cans out of the water and say that's going to fix everything. It's going to be a piece of the puzzle, but we have to go in there and do real work with real equipment, and we're doing it. And we just picked up Morris Township. You said today, how do you get involved? Why didn't you ask us? We don't ask people to work with us. People ask if they can work with us, and there is power in numbers. If you have a water problem and you want to get real work done, there's nobody better than Collier's Engineering. And we have the top guy from Maine all the way to Florida in all our cell phones, and he works day and night. And we have real studies, and we can't share the specific studies because it was so expensive and it's so valuable and so technical. We don't want people to also get their hands on that and challenge where we're beginning our remediation, because we're not experts in flooding. We're leaning on the professionals. Where do we have to do A, B, and C in order to affect D, E, and F? But here's the last point that we found. Under 280 in East Hanover, we went back there in flood cars. There's supposed to be 30-foot wide stretch under a bridge. There's 8 feet. The wall collapsed, God knows how long ago. Dirt, rock, garbage, and a shopping cart. Now, how can somebody study that for 20 years and not go back there and say, hey, let's just reestablish that width? Even if they reestablish the width by 10 more feet, water will flow better. There's a lot of that in the Whippany River, and there's a lot in the Passaic River, and I'll tell you something else about the Passaic River. That, I don't know what they're gonna do. Mark Taylor's a partner and a dear friend of ours. When they get rain now, it floods all the way to Brook Lake Road. That whole area is shot. It's like a lake. Now, the last thing that was asked specifically about behind the old Powerhouse Gym, John, what property is that on Algonquin?
101,
The reason why there's a pond or a lake behind the Red Bulls and behind the new car dealership and behind where Powerhouse Gym was, because the water can't flow because there's a 30-foot dam that somehow has value. But here's the silver lining to all of this garbage. And it's red tape where it's just hurting beautiful, hardworking people. Once we go through our remediation process, which was approved by the USDA and Collier's Engineering and our 6-town shared municipal service, we then have the ability and the authority to go in with a shared service agreement and hire companies to de-snag as we see fit. If we de-snag now, it could compromise the study that was approved by the USDA. So if anybody has a problem and they really want to work on getting a real result, we're available. Am I an expert on it? No, but you know what? If I took a written exam right now, I'd probably do pretty damn good, because I've been in the rivers, we've been all over the place, and then we go back and do field trips, and also we have a lot of drone footage. So I can go on and on and on. If anybody has a question, I could probably answer it, or John can answer it. Yes, sir.
Yes, I appreciate this presentation and your passion on it. And, from the Whippany River Watershed Action Committee, we're with you 100%, obviously. So question was, so the timing, so you can't do anything until the studies, are we weeks, months, years?
Well, that's the good thing. John touched on it. We're the chief agency in Hanover Township. I signed the first series of documents, put everything in play March 1st. 30 days later, they came back from the USDA, signed them again. We're getting an agreement from Collier's Engineering in 5 working days. Talked to Andy today. Once we sign it, we officially go out to bid. Once we go out to bid, it takes 90 days until we can put machines in the water. So my 90 days isn't like public sector 90 days, because my 90 days, like O'Connor, I get the calendar up and say, oh, good, they're gonna be in on October 2nd. But I was told realistically there will be machines in the water September 1st.
And is it a real problem, like you were mentioning about Nashville? I assume that's not as dense as here. You're talking about the access issues. I assume that's really difficult here, where you've got to find places to get in and people.
The good thing about that is when the ground is frozen, there's much less damage to properties. So I think, and we also have a letter that was prepared by our municipal attorney to get permission to gain access. And in that quote is to fix any damage you do to a property.
You would think you would think they'd be excited about solving the flooding, because it's probably happening.
And most people will be. But you know what this group can do too, is put political pressure on people. Because this is a serious entity right here. And I'll be honest with you, Mikey Cheryl, she's been incredible to us. Without her, we'd have no money at all. And now, in our town, we're largely Republican. People have said, oh, be careful, she's a Democrat. Nobody's given us the time of day like Mikey Cheryl has. And I'll tell you another thing about political pressure. Municipalities, we've been killing ourselves. Federal, we're getting millions of dollars. But state, county and state, we need money. So we have 2 people supposedly working on it. You know what? I am doubting Thomas. That's my Christian name, Thomas. I want to see some money. And I don't want the money for myself. Thank God we work day and night. We have money, enough to survive at least. But we need money to go in there to fix these problems. And then the last thing is, once we establish it here, we have to go downstream. Yes, sir.
Just 2 questions. Appreciate the presentation. One is, you covered a lot of different topics along it, focused primarily on snagging and the dredging. Is the scope primarily for the funds that you have or within your plan purely on the snagging and the dredging, or are you including like the blue acres or improving riparian buffers? I know you mentioned, I thought you had mentioned repairing some of the walls, but is primarily the primary funds initially to just
Yeah,
widen and deepen?
it's almost like when somebody gets their first car. They're not gonna get like a great stereo system, they're not gonna get the blackened out tires. They have to get a functioning vehicle so they can get back and forth. These rivers are not functioning. And even if we took $5 million in de-snag, our lives would be so much better already. Because if you go and look at any snags, you know what I'll do from Colliers, because John's here all the time, I'll get you specific pictures of dams, and O'Connor sees these dams too. You won't believe them. I challenge anybody to show me the environmental value of a cooler, a lawn chair, a beach umbrella, 3 basketballs, like that's in the water. Now, I went down to Bayonne 2 weeks ago when I was under the Bayonne Bridge with my family, because we love it in Bayonne, that's where I'm from. Honest to God, you know, I was on the side of the Arthur Kill, basketballs, coolers. I said, hey, I think that's over behind Liddy Auto Parts.
Who is deeming these dams to have environmental value?
We're told they have environmental value. Even Mayor Canolo, who's one of the most aggressive, coolest mayors I've ever met in my life, said he will go back there with his DPW and pull everything out. I said, you can't. You can't.
We often say that all trees are good, but in the river, that's different.
Depends on.
And how many fall trees?
Exactly.
You know what I
It's
mean?
walking flow.
Is it DEP regulation?
The DEP has a lot of regulations, and if it wasn't for the USDA, we would be doing absolutely nothing.
That's Department of Agriculture.
Yes. USDA is where the best place to put federal money, because they will literally do field visits. We've had the top guy in critical areas of our municipality, which is pretty cool.
So DEP is doing nothing as
Nothing.
far as.
Nothing.
No.
The only good thing about the DEP, and I'll say this, and John will probably come there, should know. The only good thing about the DEP is that they do nothing. And with the affordable housing, we have affordable housing in our town, River Park. It's gonna be a city, and it might be beautiful one day. But they haven't even come out to work with us on one specific area. There's no approvals, and it's sitting there. So in a way, people are happy that they didn't build that yet. It was from round 3. But so as much as we want them to move and help us, they're also not doing their work that might not help us. So I don't know what they're doing. Hopefully under a new governor, whoever it is, they're a little more engaged and work with the
They're
municipalities.
not the ones weighing in and deeming these dams
All
to have
that became-
environmental value.
All of that came from the DEP in the beginning, yes. Now we're just not dealing with them at all, because we don't have to, we're dealing with the USDA.
And is that just the regs that you can't touch that, you need permits to do anything?
But now with the USDA, they have the authority to do what we have to do.
So, like, I thought the permission would need to come from the DEP, but you're saying.
USDA is where we're dealing. Is that how you understand it too, sir?
I guess.
USDA has been unbelievable with us.
Now, can I have a couple of questions?
I'll talk until you throw me out.
I'm in I'm a council person in Parsippany. And so I know what you said were part of this as well, but we also have the Rockaway River. That's an issue for a lot of people, and I'm dealing with that. Has anybody looked at the Rockaway? How did this happen? Did you reach out to Cheryl's office?
Well, how this really happened, what was a few of us, of course, we complain.
Yeah.
And complaining could be a beautiful thing if it's the impetus to try to find some type of remediation for the issue you're complaining about. So we said we should do something about it. Well, what do? And we know that in Hanover Township, a lot of our rivers got destroyed with Irene and Sandy because it created islands. We have huge trees growing on islands in the middle of the Whippany River. Make a long story short, even talking to Jamie, I'm good friends with Jamie. Jamie said, well, don't do anything without us. And I said, well, what do you got? What's your river? He started talking about his problems. He said, that's got a lot of problems.
We do. I know.
So to make a long story short, Jamie is not only a general, but he's a soldier. I mean, we even talked about what the beavers in Precipitate or James, right? Yeah, we have a problem with water flow going through your town because the beaver area is protected and it floods out Troy Hills Road and Troy Road, but we can't do anything on certain times of the year. So Jamie's been great. And if you tell Jamie that you were here with me tonight, Jamie will say, if anything you want to do, but the Rockaway River is a different area.
Yeah, no, I understand.
But I didn't know that was part of you too. You fled from the Rockaway River?
Yeah,
End of the same.
and on River Road.
But it's right.
It's a mess.
Well, if you go over Old Bloomfield Avenue and you look to the left and you look to the right, what are you gonna see? You're gonna see about 10 trees in that water. That water can't flow.
So that's what I was wondering. So like, when they're, and some residents are rightly saying, these people are getting funding, this people are getting funding for remediation. What about our area? And I'm like,
Well, everybody's gotta go to their elected officials, and you're an elected official,
Yeah.
people have to go to the elected officials and say, you gotta help us. And there is strength in numbers. Now, here's the last thing you didn't pick at. I was organizing a boat trip with Mayor Downey from Morristown to 280 in East Hanover. Andy went through all the footage and he said, it's impossible. It's impossible. Then we wanted to do it from the Passaic. He said, it's impossible. You literally can't put a boat in water because the water doesn't flow. You're gonna be getting out of the boat and walking around all of these huge trees and all of this garbage. Once you break loose the de-snagging, then you're gonna see the water flowing. And you know, it's a health issue too, because water that doesn't flow has mosquitoes. They say a garbage can of water can destroy a neighborhood for a month in the summertime with mosquitoes. Picture that those rivers don't flow.
our shore book is a mess too.
Anything else?
Getting back to
Thank
DEP,
you.
they move slowly, that's all I'll say. But if you do see something that environmentally you believe is like really, really bad, like you see oil floating on the river, or you see waste in the river that shouldn't be there, save yourself time. Do not call DEP. Call up the Office of Emergency Management if you want to get it done. Office of Emergency Management will come out and they will address it.
County
We went
area.
through this. We showed them, we presented to them an oil slick that was about 30 by 60 feet along the bank of the Whippany River. And it was like, I felt like I was just being spun around in circles. So please get involved, keep your eyes open and make noise. Make a lot of noise about this because we have to, because you heard the presentation earlier. And you heard what happens next in terms of affordable housing that's coming. These two trains are gonna crash. And we gotta do something about it, or otherwise we're gonna be left holding the bag when they start building and repairing buffers.
Was it county OEM or the state?
County OEM.
Yeah, they were good. They took a deer out of Foot Pond.
Yeah.
I called the police department, they said, not our domain. Not public works, emergency.
They're the ones got the dumpster out of Whippany River.
Yeah. I had a question for you. You said about the flood zone and you had to buy property in the flood zone. With this de-snagging and everything, will that provide more value for the people that live in that area?
Oh, it would, Andy Hippolyte from Colders Engineering said if we had $12 million, we can change this area for 100 years. Period. Period. That's from Andy Hippolyte, not me. But here's another point. Let's look at your gutters in your house.
Well, that was another question I was gonna ask. Now, with the heavier rainfall, are the gutters adequate for homes?
If you never cleaned out your gutters and your living room ceiling was bowing and dripping, are you gonna criticize the contractor? Oh, this house was built like crap. My freaking ceiling's falling down. No, get up on the ladder and clean out your gutters. The water's designed to flow. And you can only guide water, you can't force it. If water doesn't flow, it's gonna go where it can.
Yeah, but this is the issue. Houses that were designed in the 20s, and they have gutters designed, they're cleaned out, but with the excessive rain, the drains can handle it, so it goes over. And
Well,
then you flood your basements and everything else.
Well, you shouldn't have, your river should be able to contain a decent rainfall. It should be Hurricane Irene, it should be Sandy where your roads are.
Yeah, those are extreme.
2-3 inches of rain, it should be able to. And we know where all the markers are in the river, and we check with OEM, where are we? Sometimes you get a lot of rain, it's okay, but here's another thing. Hanover Park High School, who's familiar with Hanover Park High School? There's a swell that goes through Hanover Park. We have a program, we go in and we do a lot of work at schools. We wanted to clean out that swell for years. We couldn't touch it We had the DEP at Hanover Park High School. They gave me the authority to approve any tree to be cut down in the wetlands if it was a hazard to the children and the families. But they gave no one any authority for the swale. Guess what happened? We had a rainstorm. It completely destroyed the auditorium because it overflowed, went into the auditorium. Mayor Panullo said, I'm cleaning out that swale with or without your permission. They said, oh, we'll supervise it. So they sat in the car while I cleaned it, but you know what? It was over $1 million worth of damage. You know what I mean?
They didn't fix that.
The bottom line is this though, if you don't maintain anything, even your car, if you don't change the oil, it's not gonna last too long. You can't have rivers and have never done the maintenance that's required and expect them to fix themselves or function properly. Period. And there's debris and there's areas that needed to be dredged that truthfully are 4 inches deep, not even 9, that should be 4 to 6 feet deep. Where's the water gonna go? So that's why I have an attitude problem sometimes. And even Andy Hippolyte told me he kind of got a little aggressive today. And he warned me about tonight because he said we need everybody to be supportive of us and not criticize anybody.
Absolutely.
But there's a point where we're getting really frustrated.
Yeah.
And we can hear all the rationale in the world, but unless you're maintaining it, it's not gonna work out.
So you see it as, this is our municipal responsibility here, it's town by town. Hopefully you'll develop a shared services agreement through this bidding process that the 6 towns could.
Well, I'll tell you what we're doing with our 6 towns is once we do this, we blow through this 1.5, then we have another 500,000 waiting. But once we blow through the 1.5, we already have a handshake agreement and we have a legal partnership with these 6 towns. We're gonna go out to bid and we're gonna have the authority to pick and choose where we're de-snagging. But right now we can't. So what we would do, if anybody has a similar problem, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. We'll talk to anybody anytime and say, this is the model that works. This is Andy from Collier's. This is our contact at Mikey Sherrill's office. And this is our contact with the USDA. We'll work together because your water problem is my water. And if my water goes faster and runs like hell and it becomes worse for Joe Panullo, that doesn't help anybody. So we have to work together. But the elected officials have to hear from us because too often they go tell everybody really nice things and they're everywhere all the time when they're running. But you know what? They're supposed to work, period. Does anybody have any more questions?
One more question. So you had mentioned it, and so that's the reason why I'm a little concerned about it is, if you clear up all this water, I don't know that much about the Whippany River, to be honest. Who is going to be impacted if they're not ready to receive all this additional volume that comes to there? I know you said you're not reaching out to other people, but should there be a courtesy to let them know that we might start getting inundated after we spend a 1.5 million to clean this out?
Well, actually, what we're doing now, working with state representatives and more municipalities, we're going to speak in Ocean County. We're going to speak. I forget what town it is. I was asked 2 days ago. Everybody has to grab a shovel and start digging. You know, everybody has to get involved.
Yes.
And shame on New Jersey. Shame on New Jersey. You know what I mean? It's just like the bridges in New Jersey. I don't know what these elected officials are doing or thinking, but you know who's paying the freight? All of us. Our insurance premiums, our businesses. And you know, I mean, it's 2024 and this guy owns a business in town. You know what he does? He puts sandbags. I didn't see a sandbag until I think 1979 on TV because a storm was coming in Louisiana. We're in Whippany, he's putting sandbags up. Isn't that kind of absurd? So look, the bottom line is this, we can handle this, but we all have to get together and fight like hell and make our phone calls. And as far as Jamie Barbario, he's a rock star in this initiative. He really is.
I've been trying for a while for some of these stormwater initiatives and funding and grants. So maybe I'll give you a call.
And the thing with the housing, and John nailed the housing great 3 times.
Yeah.
But when you have asphalt and more concrete,
Mhm.
and the water runs into the waterways, and the waterways can't handle it, don't tell me that that's gonna be acceptable. It's gonna destroy everything.
So, you know, what you did was perfect. You get help and you get grants and you get money coming in, and that's what we need to do.
You know, I'd rather drink coffee and work my tail off than hope somebody helps me one day. And that's what we did. We just said, we've had it with this. So, you know what we will do is I'll put together some pictures of the dams that were created. And that's what we can share, because again, we want to be careful with our property, because so much money, and we don't want to be judged on our work, because people should be happy somebody's doing something. So guys, I went pretty long, yes.
But this gentleman said, if I understood correctly, your engineer, Collier,
Yes.
is going to figure out the order of the dispensing so that you're not dumping water on a town that's not ready to get it and therefore create a worse flooding problem for them. So is that right? What you say?
Correct.
Yeah, there's more flooding that goes on in District 11 than in the Jersey Shore.
Wow.
So this is the tip of the iceberg in terms of starting it, but I think others are becoming sensitized to, this is a major issue throughout North Jersey. It's going out to Poland.
The saddest thing about it, and I'm pretty moderate, to be honest with you, so I can say whatever I want truthfully, because I think it's based on reality, is it also ties into a very good political narrative. That it's raining harder than ever. We're flooding because of climate change. In 1979, there was a song by The Clash called London Calling, and it said the ice age is coming. Then it was global warming, and now it's climate change. But everything has to do with that, which has to do with a lot of regulation. But the bottom line is this: if you've never dredged the rivers, you leave trees in there for 30 years, the banks are shot, there's beach umbrellas in the river. I don't care what narrative you're trying to sell, that's just poor leadership, poor planning, and nobody really working for the greater good. So I don't accept that.
I mean, I've never been an engineer, I've never taken physics, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that we take the trees out of the water, there's more room for the water. And it flows, when it flows to the sea. You know?
Guys, is that it?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Whippany flows into the Rockaway River around East Hanover or something, then it goes into the Passaic.
Okay, so the Rockaway River, so.
Yeah,
So,
and
and East Hanover is part of your collective?
Yeah, East
So
Hanover.
East Hanover knows where that merges into
East
another
Hanover
river.
and Parsippany towards in the eastern part, and then it goes, and it goes to the Great Peace Meadows, which is like a swampy.
And for the most part, it sounds like most of the towns going downstream are part of this collective group, so they should be able to work in it. You're now at the top of it, so you're the ones causing the problem.
Let's talk about your flooding. Right?
Sure.
Thanks, John.
And now one more thing I want to say to you before
See you
we go.
Saturday.
We want to work in addition to you, not
Right.
instead of you. We
Yeah.
want to be a good supplement and a good
Well,
big brother or small brother.
we're an advocacy group as much, so
We need you guys to apply pressure to the politicians.
yes, thanks.
Hey, have one question.
Now is to go to the rest of the meeting. And,
Take care of it. Now watch that. Good question. I'm out of my 63 times. Am I supposed to have
Thank you, guys. I'll call you up. Yep. I know, I was on the phone today. Thank you.
all right, so it's, okay, yeah, so Larry, do you have our finance?
Yes, we'll quickly go over financing, just for the record. Okay, in our current bank account, we have $31,645.33. That includes 3 recent membership checks from Endham Borough,
Morris Township.
Morris,
Township of Morris. Here.
Township of Morris, then the borough and town of Morris.
That's correct. And in addition, there were just some other minor, deposits and withdrawals related to the square that I see you were testing check. So it was like a penny came in, penny went out, penny came in.
Yeah, it was be testing. We have that official donation and the other town representative, right? Yeah.
So anyway,
It was
that is,
involved.
it wasn't, it's only a penny.
Really?
And that's my treasurer.
Okay, thanks. And do we want to quickly approve the minutes of February? and
Yeah, I
April?
forgot to put on the agenda, we didn't have a quorum last meeting, so we couldn't approve February's minutes. March meeting was canceled. So I have the February and April minutes over there.
So
Just need to
anybody-
approve them.
Motion approved and approved.
I'll make a motion to.
All in favor? Who are members? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so those meetings are approved. And the education outreach, we do go out to Rotary Club schools, town councils. And I'm going to be planning to speak at June 13th at Trout Unlimited, which is why I couldn't go to the Environmental Commission. And Larry Gindoff as a walk for Randolph Environmental Commission.
What is that?
Let's do that.
Yeah, what was it? It was.
It was actually really nice, and it was right after, the Morris County MUA had a drastic water, main break for Randolph, so as I was doing a walk around there, before Randolph Trail, they were fascinated about what happened to that water during the earthquake, so it turned into a very interesting.
Did you have a good turnout?
Yeah, it was about 20 people, elected officials, environmental protection people, green team people, so.
So that I
It was really nice, actually. They did a tremendous walk because, I don't know if you know it, Randolph is actually at the corner of three watersheds. I believe it's the Rockaway, the Whippany, as well as the Raritan. So you walk in some of the trails and it's like, oh, I see all these springs. These are the genesis of all these rivers, like right up here at the top of the mountain. So it's
We know that.
Or no, Muscatine.
Well, maybe
yeah,
it's
it was,
supposed to be
you
that.
know, we were right at the beginnings of, the Rockaway River and the Raritan River, as well as the Whippany River. They were
Yeah.
like within feet of each other, all at the top of, that area by now.
And
So from that perspective, it was actually fascinating from the watershed perspective.
And May 4th, Hanover Township will have their Earth Day Festival at their community center. They had it the same place last year,
That's this Saturday?
this Saturday.
Is it correct that I am attending that event? That you can't?
Correct.
So I will be.
So if anybody else can
I'll
attend,
help you set up. I'll be there at 10 o'clock.
Okay, great.
so if anybody else is able to attend, they can do that.
I assume I'll be there.
What are the
Okay.
hours, do you know?
12 to 4. 12 to 4.
12 to 4.
They always have it inside, or if it's nice.
Well,
It's at the Hanover Township Community.
It was supposed to be, last year was supposed to be their
Central Park.
Central Park, but because of rain, it went indoors. So they guess they decided to keep it indoors.
It was a lot easier than trying to reinvent. the
Yeah,
wheel
right.
at the last minute.
Society.
And May 11th, Mountain Lakes Garden Club will have their annual plant sale. I think we're having a table there. And,
They invited us, which was very nice.
and,
Yeah.
and right after that, I think Judy Hernandez mentioned they're gonna have the American River video about the Passaic River
Right, yeah.
Oh, on May 11th.
on May 11th. I think it's right after this.
Yeah, they said at the Parsippany.
Parsippany Library.
For the plant sale on May 11th, because it's always incredible plants for really great prices. And they're obviously cut up from people's gardens and it's very professional garden.
It's a great plan,
Yeah, it really is.
And
on the beach.
our intern is not, our high school intern is not here, but their Whippany Park High School is going to have their environmental club on June 4th. It's all high school students at Stony Brook Garden in Hanover Township. So these are the type of events that we help sponsor. And
The Clearwater is a question mark.
yeah, Clearwater is somewhere in Asbury Park, so that's something, we don't know anything about that yet, but it's going to be late summer. And that's supposed, And if you see Bruce Springsteen, I guess that'll be his for that. And as Larry mentioned, we did get dues from Morris Township, Mendon Borough, and Morristown. And that's included with Mendon Township and Mountain Lakes. And did Hanover send anything? I don't remember.
Think so.
And
What's
I
it
never
do?
remembered that.
I don't think.
You had somebody here.
I know, it was a priority.
Yeah.
I know where to find it. I know where to find
And
it.
now they had an Army Corps of Engineers meeting this afternoon, which I was not able to attend, but two people here did attend, and I heard it was.
Very dramatic.
Yeah,
That was very.
yeah, so if anybody wants to start, Jen
I
or.
don't know, Donna, you want to talk about it? You were on the call too. Some of the terminology and the process, I don't really
Well,
understand, so I don't know if I'm going to.
Well,
But it sounded like they were just backing out of the whole thing.
the background of this is, the Army Corps of Engineer was given the check from Mikey Sherrill. There was two projects that he said, that the one that Ace Gallagher mentioned was the de-snagging project. They got the 1.5 million, but the $300,000 check was for the Army Corps to do a study on the river in Morristown and the areas around it.
A feasibility.
Feasibility study. And last month I attended, they gave some tentative views of it, and they said it was too expensive to do, so they try to do the cheaper way. And now it sounds like they're pulling out of the whole thing.
Well, what they were trying to do, is that's part of that PAS shared thing?
Yes, so they were recommending that everybody go this other route.
Yeah.
To
The
get grants.
planning assistance to states, to participate in a planning assistance to states study, which I'm completely unfamiliar with how it works, but I guess you have to write a letter of intent.
Each town has. to
Each
do that.
town has to, and it includes, I did take some notes when that one gal, it seemed like she had it together and got
And
everybody to
finally
calm
got
down.
everybody to agree.
That it would include modeling, source of flooding, would identify alternatives, planning level cost estimates. But the guy, Andy, that the mayor kept pointing to, was just getting very frustrated because he felt like it's enough with the studies, we have to get something done, I've been doing this for
Yeah.
40 years and nothing has ever been done. We have so many studies, we have so much data, we have so much information. We just need to, and he did calm down by the end.
He did
I
calm
thought.
down by the end.
Because
And then-
they explained it a little better about applying for grants once
Right.
you participate, so go
Right,
ahead.
but they also, the thing about how Morristown though, if you were economically
You had the word, Cynthia.
Overburden.
overburdened
Yeah.
area, then you didn't have to, you could get 100% covered.
Right. so
And they actually
Morristown-
said on the call that Morristown would probably be able to achieve that, but the others would not.
Right,
And then I'll just tell you, our engineer was also on the call. And afterwards, I got a text that he got 100,000 to 300,000. They were talking about the costs.
yes,
He said that's high.
really.
Yeah.
Cost for what?
What it would cost the town,
What
each
it would
town,
cost each town.
right,
like he
even if
said.
they get a grant.
But then the one guy said, well, 100,000 maybe, because to me, yeah, 300,000 for each town. That is
Right.
fine.
Yeah, I mean, what do they do? They study.
Right,
how much
that's what they were
study?
saying, and that was Andy's frustration from Hanover. He just kept saying, how many studies are you gonna do? And study, and then nobody does anything. You just come out with these studies, but nothing gets done, so.
You know, now I'm confused because we have the Army Corps of Engineers and then we have the study that Hanover did.
Those are two separate.
They're two separate.
But it's almost two separate projects, but it's basically working on the same area.
No,
Two different
No,
concepts.
I was different.
no, Cheryl's money was for the Army Corps to study mainly the Morristown. They did look a little in Parsippany, I think, on their tour,
Parsippany, Farm
and a little
Park,
bit in
and
Florham Park.
Township.
But it wasn't about the de-snag ever, the money for that 5 towns or 6 towns, yeah, I'm sorry. Was actually to do something. This was just to study whether or not it made sense to spend money on doing something at the Oxbow, down by Bethel, where it floods and all the housing, all
Yeah,
that.
today's call had nothing to do with this 6 towns that are.
What Ace was talking about.
Had not, yeah,
It's really a feasibility study, so
Yeah.
that's the frustration of the study of the study.
exactly.
Yeah,
So the 1.5 million for the de-snagging is off. It's
that's,
gonna
that, yeah,
continue.
that's what,
Yeah, they got the check already.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
they're doing that.
they're doing that. So I think that
And maybe
makes
that's
September.
the right approach.
If it's September 1st,
I don't know if he actually had the money.
So,
So anyway, I don't understand it all. They're gonna send the slides. I will ask them, you know, if that can be, you know, public, but they have a new contact, Carl Kerr. I didn't even know if is he with the Army Corps? Is he with the DEP? Is he with who? I didn't even
I don't
know who
know
he
who
was
he
with.
was with either. I was
Yeah,
trying
he
to take
didn't
notes.
introduce
And write
himself.
down who was, yeah. And
Right.
he was pretty quiet.
He
Yeah.
was kind of quiet. Didn't have time between the end of that and coming here, but
How do you spell his last name?
Kerr, Carl with a K.
Karl, Kerr.
Kerr.
Anyway, it was very entertaining. Very entertaining
I'm
to
like,
hear
like,
Andy.
hey, who's in charge of?
Yeah,
At
he
one
just vented.
Yeah.
Yeah, he needed to take it offline.
and this,
But
yeah, this planning assistance, is that from federal or is? Planning
Is it
assistance,
federal?
the state study, was that?
I don't know. Yeah.
They didn't even explain that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was listening to it on my phone, so I didn't have the big slides up, so I don't know.
It started to go off track too. And
Yeah.
that's when a
Go
lot of
off
us,
track.
it was like, we were like, okay, who's bringing this back?
Right, yeah,
So-
I'll try to contact. them.
Anyway, so very interesting meeting.
Yeah, right, and we also did the Hanover Township, notice of that here. We had our corporate Earth Day, Brian Morgan was there, I was there, and so was.
Yeah, we had
the
100
suspects.
people.
Yeah, we had about 100 people, Barclays, Mondelez International, and Marizzi Falcon Law Firm participated.
And some town people.
Sorry?
And
And some town.
And some town people, and we expanded to 5 locations within the township this time, so it wasn't just Central Park.
Yeah,
But
what we did is we knew we couldn't handle 100 people at Central Park. So we did have our 30 people, whatever, 40,
50.
give or
Central
take, we
Park.
planted 13 trees. Some people just had a walk in the park where they went to Malapartis and they picked up garbage and stuff like that. Some people went to Blackbrook Park. They planted bushes around the flagpole. They weeded, they put mulch down. Some people went to a Stony Brook garden and they, in fact, it did my heart good to see all the women with the wheelbarrows bringing the wood chips. And what we have are, what we have are aisles in between all the garden plots, right, Bob? Did they do a good job? See, there, Bob's in charge of it.
He's in charge of the community.
And I joke about it because I have 2 plots there, and I told my wife, I said, when we go on, I mean, I'm just gonna get cremated, and I'll fertilize one side and July the other side. So that's okay.
We are gathering
like to-
photos and from the results,
Yeah, Bob.
and we will share them.
Yeah,
Just
Bob.
want to extend my appreciation for all the help that got to get the garden better.
Oh, yeah, and we planted the 2 trees, so
Excellent.
Ron is happy.
Oh, good.
Well, I'm with you, okay. Again, I'm trying to expand some things with the environmental club at the high school. I was over there 2 weeks ago. I was away last week. And so far I have heard from no one. And I am more than happy to host or do other things in the garden related to your activities.
Okay, yeah, I did speak with our intern and she was supposed to run it by the powers that be at the school and I have not heard back from her yet, so.
Okay,
I'll reach out to her because it's not far away now. It's a month
I'm
away.
ready and willing whenever.
Okay. And just stats on the cleanup, because it included river cleanup. The fire department was there. People went with the boats onto the couple little
27
islands.
times.
It was 2 tons of trash and 27 tires included in that 2 tons of trash that day from all, I think this was all the parks. all the cleanup, including some of the park and the river.
Anyway, just a quick thought about it, especially that, I was talking to Kathy about this also, we have all these Morris Township people here, it seems like an abundance of us.
Yeah.
There are a lot of corporate people in Morris Township, maybe that's the next
That's what we're.
one we try, is like Morris Township to do another corporate one, and maybe, what do you think, does that make sense? for
Yeah.
them? So-
Yeah, that's
Well, look, the first
Yeah,
one we
we'll be on
did
the
in
other side.
Barclays was in the fall. It
Yeah.
was a November date. It was in early November, so
Maybe,
fall is certainly,
maybe it's sort of thing we could think about,
Yeah.
there are some Morris Township corps that,
how's the DPW in Morris
If
Township?
we're going,
It's all about the DPW.
Yeah, no,
The Hanover Township DPW was phenomenal.
yeah,
So it's the-
having the assistance at DPW makes it
You have to.
doable
Yeah.
for the big work.
actually what we had was at each one of the parks, we had a representative of either Warwack or the Green Team and a DPW person at at that site. The Green Team in Hanover Township gave, X number of dollars to the DPW for them to, purchase all the bags, gloves, whatever it is, so that they had the supply of materials, whatever, they helped to, well, Central Park, because of the proximity of where the garbage truck is and the river, they had their, go-karts, so not go-karts, their golf carts. Yeah, the golf carts to, to bring the garbage up and stuff like that. So at the park, they must have had 20 people,
Oh, at least.
Yeah.
And then they do a barbecue at the
Yeah.
end for all the
Right, so
pictures.
they cooked or whatever it was. What I wanted to say was,
Right, and then do it the following, yeah.
if people were interested in doing it in the fall, if you're gonna contact corporate, you have to do it yesterday, seriously.
What I would suggest is if you're thinking of doing it in Morris Township, just do one first time,
Yeah, do it. in
one
place.
location, or you can do multiple things, and then maybe you can expand out.
But yeah, since this is really our third year, but second year in a row, we seem
Right.
like we're getting kind of good at it. I assume you guys are getting good at it, Barclays. Hopefully we get good at exchanging money between each other.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
maybe we can take that offline.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll think this,
Just-
Yeah, I think
If you have some ideas about where it might be,
Yeah.
and we have to talk about it outreach.
right.
But if you need pictures, I got the number and I have the
I
Google
know,
Drive,
what I need
the
to do.
photographer.
Okay,
He sent me his professional. So,
oh, great,
which
okay,
weren't
yeah.
that much better than ours.
Oh, right.
But they're still good.
I need to set up the Google Drive for everyone to send everything,
Okay.
done that,
Yeah.
so I will, but anyway, great event.
Thanks,
I
Barclays.
just want to let you know, that Paul Kerr is with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
What was that?
He's a geographer. Carl Kerr is a geographer
Oh.
with U.S. Army Corps of
So
Engineers.
So he is Army Corps, yeah, so he's gonna facilitate this sort of transition for the towns to this other plan. Okay, thank you.
And just as also, we're always in need of volunteers because well, you can see we have so many events going on. And we just need extra help. And I mean, I know we have enough here, but we also need more than enough. And our next meeting is not going to be, this is actually our last indoor meeting until September. Our next meeting is going to be outdoors at Birchwood Lake in Mountain Lakes. Sandra Levine, who spoke last month, is going to give us a hands-on class on how to assess the river or stream. She's in the Great Swamp Watershed Association. She gave a great talk last month. This time in Mountain Lake, she's going to give a presentation on have people just try to test it out, and if anybody wants to go to that. I won't be able to go to that because I have scheduled conflicts. But then we also have September, October, November, December. We don't have anything set yet, but
That's what we work on over the summer.
yeah, that's.
Yes. we'll be
But
on.
one of the things we're going to look at is composting, and composting is a big project for a lot of towns, including mine. I think we did, I mean, we try to do all of this. And so December 4th, we do have a Glassworks event. So if anybody wants to make a little glass thing, we go to Glassworks, they make, we had a good showing last year. We'll just do it again this year. So, yeah, we're trying to do that in November,
We're gonna
when,
try to do that in November.
because we want to have
Darkness.
darkness there. And, I mean, because we couldn't do it last time because of the rain in March, that's why it got canceled.
Unfortunately, it's a weather dependent event.
Yeah, and cloud, and, you know, we don't want too many clouds. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Stream quality assessment, we can see that, Sandra Levine is doing a class on it. Do we ever monitor the Whippany River? Like, is that?
I would want you to do
These
that.
are wanting to do an official.
Yeah, because I mean, last time we did it was a decade ago. And I guess there was a regular, something they did regularly.
How much does that cost?
Yeah. I
They
guess-
are, the Great Swamp is doing that, the.
For Loana.
Loana.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're in the process of working on that right now.
They're working on the study.
They're working on
Request
this.
a meeting when she did give a presentation.
Yeah, and I also went to the library and saw.
Oh, you did the library meeting too? Oh, how's that?
It was good, it was good. Not, I mean, not this most recent, the previous one we wrote at. But they will be, my understanding was that they'll be reaching out to the town for when they do the
When they're
next
ready.
steps on
When
the
they're ready, yeah. I
grants.
think they're gonna get a grant to conduct the study, which will then allow them to conduct the
yeah.
cleanup.
Yeah,
We need to get a grant.
you need grants.
Excuse me?
They're
Eventually it was to do
concerned
it-
about
to
the
get
water
to the water.
quality.
Yeah, because there's, that needs a lot of.
Stream.
They couldn't do it until they de-snag.
Supposed to be on
Yeah.
town
Sites that they know.
have water.
Just wait till after the de-snag to do a water quality.
Yeah, once, yeah.
Well, the de-snag is gonna be in Hanover.
No, if they're, well, they're
They're
expanding.
working on it. It's going to affect the whole river.
Okay.
I mean, think about it.
We
Yeah.
could, I mean.
Well, the question could be made is,
Talk
can
offline.
you have volunteers monitor it regularly, annually, in which case you can get it before and after the
Yeah,
eventually.
yeah, we could do this, yeah.
I think that.
So is there a motion? We'll talk all this off.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah, and all of you?
Aye.
Aye, thanks.
Maybe, we're gonna have a wrap this on.
That's a good meeting.